that contemptuous name at his accuser. But where do strawberries fit into all this? Before great-grandfather had a chance to be sentenced or taken to prison, his boss, who was a very influential citizen, interceded and had him pardoned. A gardener couldn't grow fruit in jail, could he? My father told us this story of great-grandfather and his personal challenge to the Napoleonic regime with a sense of joy. "I'm glad he was a real man," father said. Over 100 years later, when people said to father, "Stop having Jews in your house, you will be sent to prison," my father answered, "I am too old for prison life, but if that should happen, then it would be, for me, an honor to give my life for God's ancient people, the Jews." From generation to generation. Willem ten Boom, my grandfather, was not strong like his father, so he chose a work which was not physically difficult. In the year 1837, grandfather purchased a little house in Haarlem for 400 guilders and set up shop as a watchmaker. It was in 1844 that grandfather had a visit from his minister, Dominee Witteveen, who had a special request. "Willem, you know the scriptures tell us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the blessing of the Jews." "Ah, yes, Dominee. I have always loved God's ancient people. They gave us our Bible and our Savior." Beginning with this conversation, a prayer fellowship was started, with grandfather and his friends praying for the Jewish people. This was an unusual idea among Christians at that time. The Jews were scattered throughout the world without a country or a national identity. Jerusalem was a city torn by centuries of conflict. The attention of the world was not upon the Middle East. And yet, a small group of Dutch believers met in a little Haarlem house, a watchmaker's shop, later called the Beje, to read the scriptures and pray for the Jews. In a divine way which is beyond our human understanding, God answered those prayers. It was in the same house, exactly 100 years later, that grandfather's son, my father, 4 of his grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson were arrested for helping save the lives of Jews during the German occupation of Holland. Another strutting dictator, more arrogant and insane than Napoleon, had planned to exterminate every Jew in the world. When Holland was controlled by Hitler's troops, many Jews were killed. For helping and hiding the Jews, my father, my brother's son, and my sister all died in prison. My brother survived his imprisonment, but died soon afterward. Only Nolly, my older sister, and I came out alive. So many times we wonder why God allows certain things to happen to us. We try to understand the circumstances of our lives, and we are left wondering. But God's foolishness is so much wiser than our wisdom. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 25. From generation to generation, from small beginnings and little lessons, He has a purpose for those who know and trust Him. God has no problems, just plans. Blessed is that man that maketh the Lord his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Psalm 40, verse 4. Beginning with Mama. My mother was a woman with a loving sense of humor and a striking appearance. She had thick, dark, curly hair and brilliant blue eyes, an unusual combination for a Hollander. She came from a large family and was left fatherless just after her mother gave birth to an 8th baby. While she was still very young, her mother and her brothers and sisters were forced to earn their own living. One of her sisters, Jans, started a